Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, please make sure you go ahead and give us a like on that. And as well, if you are on YouTube following us and watching us, please make sure you go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and also hit that bell for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
And also, as well, if you are on Twitter, please make sure you check us out on Periscope. I'm also about to retweet it on my personal Twitter page as well, X underscore Williams 81. So go ahead and check us out on that as well. All righty then, ish. I don't know about you, sir, but it seems like the NFL might have said to themselves, hey, let's set up this free agency. Let's let these players know that y'all can't just be dropping bombs on the same day. Y'all gotta do this in every week. So so we can make sure the NFL has some type of news breaking every week. Because I don't know about you, Ish, but it seems like every week has been a bigger story after a bigger story after a bigger story.
I think they realized the USFL and spring football was coming back, and they're like, "Jokes on y'all, fools! Nobody care about y'all because everybody's watching free agency right now. And the draft is coming up soon, so people are gonna be watching that. I mean, it has been like you said, week after week, nonstop. Hitters and quitters coming through. It is, man, it has been entertaining to say the least.
You're 1,000% correct on that one. And like you said, Ish, I honestly didn't even think about that. Like Ish said, the USFL is actually a reborn again league that's starting up again in Birmingham, Alabama. And there's actually a player that I interviewed in Birmingham, Alabama the past year when we was there for HCU Combine. He's actually was able to get an opportunity for the USFL. So we'll see what happens with that, and hopefully we can get him on the show as well in the future. Definitely want to hear from him. But of course, we know why y'all joined us. Y'all joined us to talk about some football, some NFL football, I should say, and we are going to pick up where we left off on last week, kind of in the middle, which was at the time a question mark, which is now a statement and a very big statement in Cleveland. The biggest statement probably since I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Deshaun Watson is headed to Cleveland to be a Brown. And Ish, we talked about it last week, and at the time it was speculation. It was something that was not a done deal at all yet. Atlanta definitely tried to swoop in, no pun intended, and to try to get Deshaun Watson. But it seemed like the biggest deal breaker was the guaranteed money. The guaranteed money that that made new quarterback standards when it comes to the market. And for Deshaun Watson to not play the past year and to be able to get the most guaranteed more money from a quarterback in NFL history, I mean, that's pretty damn amazing. And I will say that because of the 22 allegations that are still pending, civil wise, against him. So to be able to get that type of money with the situation he has going on, I mean, shit, just imagine if he didn't. He'd probably get $500 million. He'd be the next $500 million quarterback out here. I'm just saying. So with that being said, Ish, you talked about this in the pre-show. You say you felt some type of way about how everything was handled. So I'm gonna pass it off to you, and we'll of course talk about it and talk to the people that's tuning in and see how they feel about this whole Deshaun Watson and Cleveland situation.
Um, I'm just gonna come. I'm gonna come right out. I'm not gonna
Don't
sugarcoat
hold
it.
no
Or
punches.
I'm not
Come
gonna
on
hold any
now.
punch. You know how it is,
I
man.
know.
I'm not
Let
gonna
them
hold any
know. Let them
punches. I'm
know.
gonna just say it how it is. Bro, they were desperate. And the desperation is, I mean, it stinks from a mile away. I can smell the desperation way down here in Houston. The desperation is honestly kind of sad to see because let's just run it back real
Run it
quick
back. Run it
and
back.
let's talk about the fact that they were removed. They were told they were out of the running for Deshaun Watson. Then reports came out that Baker Mayfield said, "You know what? I know y'all didn't get Deshaun, but I could care less. I want to go." He wanted to be traded away, and they were like, "Well, damn, we actually really messed this up worse than what we thought it was. We need to get Deshaun Watson because if we don't, then we kind of stuck." So how can we go get Deshaun Watson? And they decided to give him the highest guaranteed money in NFL history, giving him $230 million fully guaranteed. Not to mention the thing that really made it like you could tell the desperation from a mile away. The way they structured the contract so that the base salary for this year is only $1 million, so that when he does get suspended, not even if he gets suspended, when he gets suspended, he's only getting money out of this $1 million. Like, let me just say to Deshaun Watson agent,
That's exactly what I was gonna
sir,
get at. Thank you.
can
Thank you.
can you
Chef's
represent
kiss.
me?
Chef's kiss.
Or can you bring me on? I would like to work under you and try to, learn a thing or two, because my goodness, you should be getting a raise. If I'm an NFL player and I'm not happy with my agent currently, I'm about to call Mr. David Mogata. I forgot how to say his last name, but
I was hoping
be,
you were saying it because I
I'm gonna
definitely was
be
gonna butcher it.
I'm gonna be on the phone with you, David. David, I'm calling you tomorrow. Okay, if I'm an NFL player and I don't like my agent, or I feel some type of way about the deals I've been offered or getting, yeah, I'm getting on the phone with David, because David definitely did his job. He is well worth every single penny. Deshaun Watson should be kissing his feet, because he went out there and he got beyond the supermax for this man. He basically created a new supermax for the NFL. Um, but I do feel a type of way about it. I know that I mean, it's clear as day that Cleveland was so desperate they had to get this done, that they went out and they gave him this deal. And like you said, the 22 charges are still, the civil cases are still pending. So it's not like this has gone away. Also, I was thinking about something, and let me ask you, and let me ask the viewers how you guys feel about this, okay? Because I wanna get your feeling about this, because I've thought about it later on, and I was like, you know what? This may be interesting. So we're talking about the 22 cases still being out there. If you haven't been paying attention, a lot of female sports, a lot of women,
In the sports
writers in
world,
the sports world have been kind of pointing to this whole situation and saying, like, how can the NFL give this man this kind of money when you got these 22 cases and everything? And even though it's not the same thing, a lot of people were earlier, just like a week ago or so, complaining about Calvin Ridley
suspended a year for
getting
gambling.
suspended a whole year for gambling, right? I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I want to know what you think. I want to know what the people watching think. With these 22 cases, and with the situation of Calvin Ridley getting the year for gambling, do you think it is on the NFL to give Deshaun Watson no less than a year? I mean, I'm wondering if they're gonna have to send a message, because he went out with 22 cases pending, got traded. So not only did he got traded, and then he got the highest guaranteed money in NFL history with 22 cases pending against him. You just suspended the guy for betting while he was not even playing for a whole year. Do you think? I mean, I'm starting to think, bro, you can't give this man 6 games. I don't even know if you can give him 8 games. If you give him 6 or 8, it's going to look bad for the Shield. I'm sorry to say it. It's going to be a bad day. I mean, there are going to be a lot of hit pieces out there as soon as they give this man 6 or 8 games. So I'm thinking, if you're the league, you kind of got to give him a year. And not to mention the whole base salary thing. That's a whole nother thing, because clearly the Browns and his agent and everybody were in on it. Like, hey, we know you're going to suspend him, so we're going to make it as small as it can be in the first year. Like, there's so many things that point to, like, these people did not care at all about these 22 cases. And not to mention, the attorney for the accusers came out and said the Browns never even reached out to him. So like, man, there are so many things that you're looking at this and you're like, man, this is really a bad look for the NFL. So X, what do you think? Do you think they got to give him a year? You think it's only going to be 8 or 6 games?
And I'm happy you throw it back to me because I'm going to get to the comment section right quick before I have my spill. Fracture Wano on YouTube just letting us know, hey, yo, what's good? Congrats on getting Robert Woods and congrats on getting Juju-ish. I'm happy you brought that up, Fracture Wano, because we will talk about that a little bit later on in the show. He also said Ben had one civil case and got 4 games. How many does he get for 22? I say 10. He also says that's with appealing the suspension. And he also talked about, don't forget about the base salary is only $1 million. Fracture Wano joined us a little late after you brought that up, Ish, when it comes to his contract breakdown. Excuse me. Okay, here's the thing. Let's talk real, because when everybody listens to the 4-Letter Network channel and also Fox, everybody is going to be sympathetic to what's going on and be politically correct, right? Because let's be real. Most people got to be politically correct, or people worried about getting their jobs taken from them. Understandable. People want to make sure they get them checks cashed. I got it. But what we're going to talk about right now is just some real deal Holyfield, because what I'm really tired of talking about and hearing and having people trying to do is combine business with morals. Okay? What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I know we've played football before in middle school and high school and little league and all that good stuff. But since I was a wee little toddler, 94, last time I checked, the NFL was a business. Last time I checked, when we played football in 2004, the NFL was a business. Last time I checked, in 2014, the NFL was a business. What I'm getting at is that I know morally that all this stuff is messed up, okay? And everybody involved. Because at the end of the day, just because it's a civil case does not mean somebody is guilty. Okay? Deshaun Watson has already already been proven. I don't want to say he's been proven innocent. The cases have been dropped criminally wise. Okay?
I mean, those are taken care of. They didn't have enough evidence. So
okay, well,
that's not necessarily saying he's innocent, right?
Look, at the end of the day, black people can complain about the justice system all they want to, but you can't be picking and choosing about the justice system when it works for you or it don't work for you.
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying. I'm not
coming at you. We're talking about. Let's talk. My point is that when it comes to this situation, we all know that maybe there is some truth to what's going on, okay? But Deshaun Watson, one thing was killing me about this whole situation is why Deshaun Watson being looked at as the poster boy for all this, when we've already had somebody like Ben Roethlisberger that's had not one but 2 rape allegation cases that happened to him. When we had a guy just 4 or 5 years ago, owner of the New England Patriots named Robert Kraft, who went to Florida and had him a nice little happy time in Florida. And he didn't lose his team, right? Then we just have an owner the past year, Jeff Ross, Jim Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. Then we just have a whole coach that left his post because he got fired, but he left his post to pretty much sacrifice his own livelihood to be a coach in the NFL, to say, hey, this gentleman here is not protecting the integrity of the game as people like to talk about the NFL. And we haven't heard anything about Mr. Ross. And there's separate situations. They're all separate situations. My point is that.
Can I answer it though?
Of course.
Can I answer why he's the poster boy?
I'm listening.
Why? So Deshaun Watson is the poster, and it's not his. Well, it could be his fault, but he is the poster for this whole situation because it's become a pattern. That's the problem, right? Like, you're naming all these people, which rightly so, you're naming all these people that have had these issues that have been brought up, but it's the pattern. That's why he is now the poster, because in the situation. Okay, hold on. Unfortunately for him,
so you telling me all the multiple domestic bouts that we've had with NFL players, and nobody has made any one of them except for maybe Ray Rice, the example. Now all of a sudden it's the same.
But that's the
because
point,
it was on
right?
tape, right? Because Ray Rice situation on tape.
What I'm saying is there's too many instances where the NFL has basically slapped people on the wrist.
But we gotta stop acting like the NFL is going to. Here's the thing. The NFL is not a college where we're looked at them like, oh, that institution. I wouldn't send my son there because the morals there. I'm not with it. I'm not sending my son to that school. People still don't, at the end of the day, people still want their kid to go play quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Because they give out $40 million contracts.
Okay, X, that's fine. That's all fine and dandy. But at the same time, I think that what you got to understand is the NFL is a business, right? It's an entertainment. It's public. The public has a say. The public, they can decide whether or not they want to watch. And I think for a lot of people, and I mean, there are a lot of people that are upset about this situation, and Deshaun Watson is the latest in a list of incidents from the NFL where it seems like players are going out here doing these things. I think number one, it's the number of allegations. It's 22 allegations. It's not like the man's got 2-3 allegations. It's 22 allegations, right?
I'll be
number
honest with
two,
you. I would believe the 2 and 3. I believe it was 2 or 3 allegations over the 22. 22 just sound too fake to me. But again, that we go wait and see if everything comes out.
But what I'm saying is, it's the 22. Number 2, he just signed a large contract and then forced a trade, even with the 22 allegations. Still forced a trade out of that city where you just signed the contract to go wherever you wanted to go, because remember, he had a no trade, so he got to choose where he wanted to go. Pretty much, he chooses where he wants to go. Then on top of that, they go and they give him the most guaranteed money in NFL history while he still has 22 civil cases open and pending. And then they rig the contract to where even when he gets suspended, it's not really like he's taking a hit.
Yeah, that ain't rigging. That's smart. That's smart agency right there, baby.
But what I'm telling you, I agree with you. His agent did a wonderful job. He is looking out for his client, and he did the best thing he could do, right? But it's a bad look for the NFL. That's what all I'm trying to say is the NFL is a business, right? You're right. The NFL is a business. And the Browns, they did good business from a standpoint of on the field, right? But from a PR standpoint, from, the NFL trying to say, they're against domestic violence and all these other things and trying to get in front of all these things that they've been fighting for years now, it's a bad look. And that's where they're losing this battle. This is a black eye on the NFL. All the things I just listed is what makes the Deshaun Watson situation bigger than anything else that's happened so far. It's why he has become the poster child. It's why everybody's looking at him and they're saying, this guy, you got to make an example out of this guy. Because all these things combined together, it just looks bad. The league is going to suffer from this. I'm sorry. Before, people were complaining, but I promise you, if he gets 6 or 8 games, I promise you, X, you will not see the level of vitriol that we thought they were getting before ever multiply like it's going to multiply for Deshaun Watson. It's just going to be bad.
This is what you don't understand. Deshaun Watson didn't kill no dogs.
Oh, I know he didn't.
I knew you I was going with that, huh?
I know he didn't.
America love animals before people. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to make a joke out of this. Again, if all this stuff is true, this is of course very unfortunate to the women and everybody that's involved in this and whatnot. I'm just saying things. This whole situation just seemed all fishy from the beginning. Again, so that's why for me, as somebody that thinks very logically, I feel like there's something up with this whole thing. So for me, I have to wait for all the dust to settle, and then I can finally say what I need to say. But again, if everything is wrong, I'm gonna say if everything is on Watson when it comes to it is true, and he's done this and that, third, I have no problem saying, hey, that's a bad look on you, Deshaun Watson, this, that, and third, blah, blah. But one thing I'm not going to do, especially as a grown up that's 31 years old, I'm not going to demean somebody after one mistake or one or two bad things that they do in their life, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. 2, we're going to continue to keep doing the wrong things. It's about learning from your mistakes and trying to be a better person after you do said mistakes. Watson, from what I remember from as a kid to college to the NFL, has been nothing but a model citizen in this world. If him having happy endings is making you look at him like a bad person, then hey, that's on you. You know, at the end of the day, that's on you. If that's how you feel about said person, that's fine. But I'm just looking at it in a whole, like I said, a whole different light than everybody else, and I'm going to go about it like that. Let's go to the comment section right quick from Fractured Walnut. He says Brown's going to make all that 230 back in jersey
Bro, they
sales and
probably
ticket
already
sales
made it. They
in
probably
a
already
year and a
made it back.
half. I'm
They
pretty sure
probably
they
already
did.
made
I'm
it
pretty
back.
sure it's going to take a year. All right. Fractured Walnut says that is true. X, the NFL is a business. It's about the bottom line, and Watson and others will put butts in the seats.
He will.
He also says it's just like Vic in Philly. It's 50-50 right now, but as soon as he starts balling,
I don't think anybody
care
in
no
Cleveland
more.
care.
If he brings Cleveland a Super Bowl, it won't matter. People in
I
Cleveland.
don't think anybody in Cleveland care.
No, 1,000% correct. I mean, 1,000% agree on what you said, Ish, and just piggybacking off of what you talked about desperation-wise for Cleveland. Besides them being desperate, which they definitely are, I mean, shit, I got no problems being desperate right now, being able to get a guy like this on my team. Because, again, when it comes to Watson, again, I'm not worried about him going out and drinking and driving, hurting somebody, going out and beating his wife, going out and doing this, that. I'm not worried about. These multiple.
You worried about him going out and getting happy endings.
I mean, but again, if that's the worst thing, do we really got to do this? Do we really got to go back in the day, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and all the things that we've heard about people do, and all this other stuff like that? Don't make me talk about no Cowboys, all right? Don't make me. I'm gonna leave it at that, okay? Damn it, don't we do this right now? Okay? What we not gonna do is make it seem like Deshaun Watson is just this horrible human being and nobody should ever mention his name in any good grace ever again. This is how crazy and simple-minded people are this day and age. This man was the leading NFL passer before, of course, he was on his time away, right? With the receiving core of Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills, and
a bunch of bums.
Okay? And to see people talk about, oh, Deshaun Watson sucks. He's trash. He's this. He's that. I could have sworn he was the same quarterback that led Clemson to a national championship to beat Alabama. Okay? And his best wide receiver was Hunter Renfrow at the time. Okay, let's not act like I'm just saying it's a lot of emotions going on right now.
Top 5 quarterback.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of emotions going on right now. But let's slide your emotions to the left and talk about the facts. And that's the facts is because we talked about this last week, and I asked the question to you, Ish, and I'm gonna ask it again before we move on to the next topic. With Watson now in Cleveland, does that make the Cleveland Browns a Super Bowl contender?
I don't know that they're Super Bowl contenders because I still got some questions about the defense, but definitely offensively and in the AFC North. I think the AFC North, unfortunately for the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC North is the Browns to lose. The Browns, they should go out there and whip up on Lamar and the Ravens, my man Joey B and the Bengals, and the Steelers right now. They looking like bottom dwellers because we don't know what's happening at the quarterback position for them.
One thing, but I will say this about the Steelers, and I will pick them right now before the season starts. I will pick them as a dark horse in that division.
Oh, I thought you were picking them to win the division. I was about to say
no, I'm about to say, and I will not be surprised at all if they win the division. You want to know why? Because what they are doing, they are trying to get that defense back to what it's supposed to be. And they are making sure that defense is where
drugs.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. My point is that they making sure that defense is fine, and then they will address the offense. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they take a look at Malik from Liberty. Mike Tomlin, of course, was down there checking him out. I don't think that's who he's going to take.
I keep hearing
I don't think that's who he's going to take. I'm just saying
he's not dropping to them. I'm sorry, he's not.
Steelers might move up in the draft. Okay, the draft hasn't even started yet. We don't know yet, Ish. Okay,
what are they trading? What are they trading to move up?
Look, man. Okay, crazy things has happened. We've seen this already in offseason. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying we have to just wait and see. Okay, let me get to the comment section. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Fracture One also says, but hey, we got 6 picks for him. I wish him nothing but the best in Cleveland. Now, that's a real Houston supporter right there for you. Not wishing torn ACLs on people, which I've seen on social media. But again, everybody can be tough behind a computer screen, so whatever. He also says, I honestly expect the defense to take a lot of chances with them, knowing they have Watson on the other side. It's interesting. I didn't really think about that, but, we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll save, of course, more of this topic moving forward and other shows because this topic alone is not going away anytime soon. Ish, you have anything to say before we move on? All right, let's go ahead and move on to what happened with the domino effect after Deshaun Watson made his decision to go to Cleveland. Of course, the dominoes fell, and somebody that was a part of that was Mr. Matt Ryan. Remember, Matt Ryan was a part of this situation. Deshaun maybe going to Atlanta because of the way that Atlanta restructured his contract. To let him know, pretty much, I'm assuming management let Matt Ryan know, like, hey, we're going to go ahead and rebuild mode, and we want you to let you know before we move on.
You know what? You know what this reminded me of though, and no, my fault to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I honestly was laughing about it when I heard this happen because this whole Deshaun Watson thing to me is like when the prettiest girl in school. When it sounds like she on the rocks with her boyfriend. And so all the dudes start trying to check to see like, yo, do I got a chance with her? And that ruins things that they got with their own girlfriend. And so now your girlfriend left you and you don't even get the prettiest girl. That's what happened. That's what happened. The Browns, they messed up and they went and checked to see what was going on. And then Baker was like, you know what? I got to get out of here. I want to leave. You're not treating me right. And so they were like, yeah, we got to get the prettiest girl now. We got to get her because we about to lose. Well, unfortunately for the Falcons, they didn't get the prettiest girl. And so their girlfriend decided, hey, we don't have to go. I'm going to have to go somewhere else because obviously you don't appreciate me. And so Matt Ryan left and now he's gone to the Colts. But hey, that's just what I was thinking when I saw this. I was laughing. I was like, "Oh man, everybody just messed their own situation up for Deshaun Watson."
I do understand. I do understand the comparison. I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I use Matt Ryan as an example. If anything, I'm using Baker because Baker right now is looking around like I ain't got no girlfriend. I thought I was gonna be with this chick. I got my chick scooped up and now I can't even flirt with nobody else because nobody want me no more. Again, we'll get to Baker real soon, but with Matt Ryan, you got to think about it. I mean, this might be the best case scenario for Matt Ryan to go to a team. I'm sorry, for you on your the rest of your down years for being in the league, to be able to go to a team that's I want to say ready to win a Super Bowl right now, but they're in contention to, of course, make a playoff run to where they need a solid quarterback that's not going to literally throw the game away, Mr. Carson Wentz. And so for Matt Ryan falling to the Colts, I think this is probably the best scenario for everybody involved. And call me crazy because I'll say it on here. I think Matt Ryan's a bigger upgrade than Phillip Rivers when Phillip Rivers came to the Colts a couple years ago.
I agree. No, I agree with that. I agree.
So with that being said, the way Jonathan Taylor has been running the ball, the way that Colts defense is, of course, Mr. Darius Leonard in the middle there, if they can make sure that line is better than what it was last year, it was good, but it fell off a little bit compared to prior years. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts win the AFC South.
Oh, for sure.
And that's just how I see it, just because of Tannehill not being able to get over the hump. Again, we'll talk about that, of course, in future shows when it comes to the upcoming season. But Matt Ryan to the Colts, I'll be honest with you, Ish, I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the AFC South should be worried. It's yet another year of the Colts going out there finding a veteran quarterback to come in and keep this train rolling that they got in the Indy. Honestly, last year they were really close. They could have possibly won the AFC South had they played a little bit better earlier in the season.
Oh yeah. Let's also remember too, Ish, they only needed to win one out of two games at the end of the season. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't do it. And honestly, you got to think about it. Matt Ryan's an upgrade to Carson Wentz. So if you're looking at it as, they just upgraded a situation that I would say arguably had Carson Wentz played better earlier in the season, they would have won the AFC South last year. I definitely think, yeah, man, everybody in the AFC South should be scared because this guy could come in there and they could win maybe, 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. I don't know how long Matt Ryan plans on playing But they could win. They are set up in a good spot to win the AFC South this next year, for sure. And so the Tennessee Titans are going to have to figure out, how can we get the best out of Ryan Tannehill, and capitalize on what we have. I know they've made some signings. They got another wide receiver in with Robert Woods, in that trade, and hopefully he's able to come in and do stuff unlike a lot of the other big names they've brought in the past. But the Colts they're up there. I mean, this offseason, let me just say it plain as can be. The AFC decided this offseason, like, hey, NFC who?
It's a race. Gauntlet.
It's a race to see who's gonna win this AFC and pretty much win the Super Bowl, or if they're gonna even be healthy enough to win the Super Bowl.
Man. Everybody might beat up on each other.
I mean, it's gonna be a slug to get through the AFC this year. I don't know who's gonna come out of the AFC or how people are gonna come out of the AFC, but this year, man.
If you don't have a quarterback, go ahead and pack it up. Just like I'm telling you right now, Tennessee Titans, go ahead and pack it up. Just being honest. All right. Fracture One also says, I wouldn't say their O-line fell off. I think it was Wentz trying to play hero ball that made them look bad. I'll say it's about 70-30, 70 wins. 70 wins, 30% of the line. He also says, if I was the Giants, I would take a hard look at Baker, but on second thoughts...
Don't disrespect Danny Dimes like that. Don't ever disrespect Danny Dimes like that, Fracture Walnut. Sometimes you actually say stuff that I agree with, but right there, that was real disrespectful. Don't do that to Danny Dimes. Baker Mayfield. Man, Baker Mayfield couldn't hold Danny Dimes' jockstrap.
All righty then. Anywho, I'm not going to comment on that because Danny Dimes shouldn't be starting either. But that's another topic for another day. We're going to go ahead and move on to a quarterback that a lot of people probably feel like he shouldn't be starting either. See how I segue that? Mr. Marcus Mariota, again, a part of the domino effect from Watson going to Cleveland. Mariota was able to find a new home in Atlanta, and coming off of a year where you were a backup and then also you getting hurt as well, a lot of Atlanta fans are not too happy with this as the quarterback and moving forward after Matt Ryan. But let's be real, and I'll start us off first. If anybody that knows football, you should know that Mariota is most likely going to be used as a bridge quarterback to get ready for the future, which most likely would be next year if their eyes are set on somebody like a Bryce Young. And if that is who they are trying to get, then it seems like Mariota probably will be the starter. Head coach is Arthur Smith, used to be the Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator, so of course they have history there. Mariota should be able to integrate pretty easily. He is a great leader on and off the field, so they're not worried about that. It's just, can he stay healthy for more than 4 games, and can he actually deliver a couple wins? Because if he can do that, Atlanta will embrace him. Atlanta won't boo him, of course, but for the most part, I'm not expecting the playoffs from the Falcons. Again, even though the NFC is weak, I just don't see anything really happening with them. And this is just looks like another 7-10 season type thing, or 8-9. But for the most part, this is a bridge type of season for the Falcons, and we'll go from there, Ish.
Yeah, there's nothing special about the signing. It's for me, it's just another middle of the road team finding a guy that can play. I mean, there will be some flashes of brilliance from him, but honestly, it's not going to be enough to pull this team to the top. Even if Tom Brady had retired, I don't think that even with this signing, they would have competed to win the NFC South. They're just going to be a middle of the road team if we're just being honest about it. Maybe this year they'll draft a quarterback if they feel strongly about any of the quarterbacks that are available for them this year, or like you said, they'll wait till next year to get their guy. But either way, Mariota's not going to be there for a long time. He's just a veteran there to hold the space until they can get their guy of the future. Yes, it sucks. It really just sucks the way that things ended with Matt Ryan and having to get rid of him before they had their guy in place. And honestly speaking, you look at situations like this, you look at the situation in Pittsburgh, and you got to think to yourself, like, did some of these teams miss the opportunity in drafts past when they could have got a successor, but maybe chose not to, either for the quarterback's ego or, they felt like there were just better players available? We'll never know. Because you could have always ended up with a situation like Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. So that's a whole nother problem on your hands.
I mean, that's the thing about it. My bad to cut you off. It's the
Oh, no.
inexact science, Ish. That's the
Yeah.
inexact science when it comes to scouting. When it comes to projecting what you think a player will be in year 3, year 5, and that's the hit or miss. The Green Bay Packers thought they were going to be able just to transition easily, the same way they was able to transition from Aaron Rodgers to from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and it just don't seem like it's happening like that right now, right? And the Steelers historically have been lucky in that quarterback position, kind of the same way they've been with the head coach position, where they never really had to worry about like searching for quarterbacks year in and year out, right? Ben Roethlisberger been with the Steelers for so long to where you would think Terry Bradshaw gave him the baton after he got done playing. But every franchise, for the most part, kind of goes through this in one or two position players. And for the Falcons right now, it just seems like they're going through this with the quarterback position. I see them bouncing back a lot quicker than everybody else might think, but it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out, because with Arthur Smith is not a proven head coach yet. So if this doesn't work out, he could be gone too. They could, whoever comes in, general manager, like we know Arthur Blank isn't leaving anytime soon. If a new GM comes in and wipe the slate clean, all those guys could be gone. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with the Falcons. Let me get to the comments section right quick. Fraction One that says, I see the Falcons trading 8th pick to Texans for a 3rd and take Willis out of Liberty. Now, if that happens, then of course that opens up another storyline when it comes to, do you let Mariota start and then you let the young guy learn from Mariota, or do you go ahead and put him in first, because you drafted him first round?
Yeah, that'll be a whole nother problem.
That's the whole, yeah, so we'll figure that out.
That's going to be the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo situation in San Francisco all over again.
Well, whether or not you let somebody play. Mariota haven't taken nobody to the Super Bowl, so I got where you're coming from, but I'm just saying. Lee says, and still eating up $40 million, highest paid dead cap in NFL history. Atlanta. So
that's a really good point,
because
it's not only 40. It's not only 40. They have $62 million in dead cap space because they got the 40 from Matt Ryan. They still got 15.5 from Julio. They got rid of Dexter Fowler and they got 4.5 from him, and then $1 million for some other guy. So if you want to talk about bad business, the Atlanta Falcons are a study case for bad business.
Yeah, and that's on both. That's on two parts. That's on Arthur Blank and that's on the general manager. And that's something that Arthur Blank might have to do a real hard look at in the mirror, like and ask himself, what are we going to do to revamp this business wise? Because I will say, when it comes to refreshments and the snack aisle, the snacks business wise, they killing on that. I mean, Dollar Hot Dogs and Chick-fil-A, even though it's not open on Sundays there in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, they killing it over there. But for the most part, that for cap space wise, they got to figure that out real soon.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on because of the domino effect. We talked about Baker, we're searching for you. Where are you going now? I mean, Baker wanted Indy, but Indy didn't want him. Okay, so now we're in a situation where there's a couple of teams open up right now, maybe for a starting quarterback position, because Baker looks at himself as a starter. But there's some teams that might not look at him as a starter right now. So we look at teams maybe like a Seattle, even though, of course, Drew Lock got traded to Seattle. Do you see a team maybe like Seattle coming in the mix? Is there, of course, before Deshaun, last week when we talked about Deshaun going to Cleveland, we thought maybe Baker would be a part of that package to where you might trade Baker for Deshaun Watson. I know you're shaking your head, but I'm just saying. So now Baker looks like he's on his own for the meantime, for the time being.
For the meantime, in between time.
You already know. But in the next day or two, because we know how this NFL offseason has been, Could we see Baker maybe joining let's just say, maybe like I can't even name a
There are
team
only
that
two
needs a
teams.
decent Baker. I'm sorry, decent backup
There are
like
only
Baker
two
that can help.
teams.
I'm listening.
There are only two teams that are in play. If you're asking me, Seattle and Pittsburgh. Does Pittsburgh actually feel good with what they have in that room to say, you know what, we don't actually need Baker? Or do they feel like, hey, let's just take a shot on this guy. Let's see what he's got. Add some competition in. And in Seattle, the same thing. Really, do you feel good with Drew Lock? Do you feel like Drew Lock's good enough for your rebuild until you draft a quarterback that you feel better about? Or do you want to maybe bring Baker in to, see what he's got, see what if, he's a little more motivated instead of riding with Drew Lock? I mean, those are the questions really to be answered. But those are the only two teams. Like, I'm sitting here looking at the league, and let's just be honest. You don't bring a Baker Mayfield, unfortunately, is not a guy that you can really just bring in and be like, you know what, Baker, we're going to bring you in as the clear backup, right?
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening. And when you're looking around the league, again, those are the only two teams you can bring him in.
The only team that I can think of that he can maybe transition into a backup quarterback and be okay with because of the quarterback room.
Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And I know about to be looked at crazy, and that's fine. I'm just thinking about because of the college connection. Arizona.
Don't say, what? I'm just
saying the offensive
you crazy
style.
for that one. No,
I'm not comparing Kyler to
you should have kept that to yourself.
I'm just saying that he can be the second. Colt McCoy can be the third. Kyler's due to get hurt. Kyler's due every year to get hurt. Baker could come in and maybe make some plays.
No.
And maybe help himself out to maybe become a starter somewhere else next year. No. That's just how I look at it because of history with Kyler Murray. That is all. And again, because of how, I wouldn't say they're friends. I'm just saying because of where they come from OU-wise, maybe they will respect each other enough to say, hey, I don't mind having that guy on this team.
I mean, I think he's going to have to be a backup somewhere. The problem is where is there a quarterback room that's secure enough that you think you can bring a guy like Baker Mayfield in
and him not be a distraction?
Yeah, and not be a distraction. Like, you got to seriously sit here and think about it. Where can you bring this guy in where it's not going to be a distraction? Because let's say, okay.
And I agree with what you said, Tampa. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa, I can see Tampa being a situation that you could bring him in and it won't be a distraction. I think you could look at a situation like maybe Green Bay, potentially. That I don't think that's a distraction, but at the same time, I think that it'll bring some.
That's not a good look. Okay, so then what you do with Mr. Love then? You gonna let go of Jordan Love?
Love's gone.
Trade?
Love needs to go somewhere anyway. I mean,
I got you, but
he needs to be gone anyway.
Let's hop back on this next week because most likely something's gonna happen with Baker. We'll talk about it more next week. Let's go ahead and finish up with the rest of the topics we have for tonight. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. All right. Now again, another part of the domino that Ish talked about last week. If you checked us out on our last week's show, Ish stated that depending on where Deshaun Watson goes, Allen Robinson might follow him to wherever destination that he goes to. And it didn't seem like that all came together, but it seemed like Allen Robinson was able to find him a nice spot in LA. And before I get onto that, let me go ahead and get to the comment section right quick from Lee. He says he's going to have to suck it up like Trubisky did behind Josh Allen and Winston. Behind Breeze, he's going to have to back up until some opportunity comes. I 1,000% agree, Lee. And unless he swallows some humble pill right quick, he might his attitude might get him up out of the league quicker than what it needs to be. All right, Fracture One also says 3-team trade package. Panthers get Tannehill, Titans get Baker, Browns get Why are we doing that? No.
I don't know that the
I don't want no damn Baker. I don't want Tannehill. Why the hell you think I want goddamn Baker Mayfield?
Nah, you want Baker Mayfield.
I'll go play quarterback, damn it. All right, strap me up. I'll go play quarterback. Anyways, let's finish up this dang topic. Allen Robinson to the Rams. Also, Tennessee Titans releasing Julio Jones. And also, due to Allen Robinson, and also, of course, The reason why Allen Robinson went to the Rams is because Mr. Robert Woods got traded to the Tennessee Titans, and we'll talk about all three of them at the same time. So because again all these domino effects, ish, who got the better? Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because easily I feel like Allen Robinson going to Rams is easier than that. But with the Tennessee Titans, did they upgrade with what they were able to do? And with the Rams, does this put you in position to be able to say maybe head back to an NFC Championship game?
For the Rams, yeah, it's business as usual. They can keep it moving. He does a lot of things well. A lot of things similar to what Woods does. I would even say he does a lot of things similar to what OBJ does. He's gonna slide in there. He's gonna do really nice next to Cooper Kupp. So for me, I mean, yeah, Rams business as usual. For the Tennessee Titans, I think that the Tennessee Titans actually, and some people may think it's crazy, they got an upgrade if he is healthy. So we know he had the ACL tear. He's coming back from that. If he's able to be fully fit, healthy, then they definitely upgraded over Julio Jones. Julio Jones, get up out of there. The best ability is availability, and Julio Jones does not have that. So unfortunately for him, similar to AJ Green in Arizona, and at the end of his time in Cincinnati, it's starting to look like these guys, their time in the league is coming to an end. They're just not able to stay healthy. They're not able to have the kind of impact that they once had back when they were younger. Father Time is undefeated. And for
Except
Julio,
for
except for Tom Brady, for Julio, it just looks like that time is it's very near. So Woods is definitely an upgrade to him. He's going to be a great asset for Tennessee. I think he's going to slot in perfectly across from AJ Brown and really, make a difference for them. That's going to be a big, big piece for Tennessee in the race for the AFC South that, like we already talked about with Indianapolis making the trade that they made. For Julio Jones, he's going to go somewhere. He's going to – I heard Tom Brady is already recruiting him to go to Tampa Bay. I don't see that as a good fit for me. Personally, they got a lot going on. They've already signed another receiver earlier in the offseason. Then to add that on top of what they already have there, I don't see why you want a Julio Jones who's barely available to go to you. I could see maybe Green Bay. That would be an interesting situation. They lost Devontae Adams.
Is his hamstrings gonna stay?
I
don't
think so. That was a thing that I was thinking, like, it might benefit him to stay somewhere warm because South, it's going to be bad for him up there with the hamstrings and all that. Arizona, they've been stacking on these veteran wide receivers. They got AJ Brown, like I just mentioned. So yeah, Arizona, they can add another one, and who knows what would happen there. I just don't know. I'm looking at it. I don't know. I don't know where. Maybe Denver?
I don't see him. I mean, maybe, but again, longevity-wise, if you actually want to play, let's just say 12 out of the 17 games, I don't see you going anywhere up north. I mean, you were in Nashville, center of the United States, and you couldn't stay healthy. Like, that was my thing. I have all the utmost respect for Julio Jones and how he plays the wide receiver position. I've been watching him since we were in high school. The man is amazing, okay? The man is goddamn amazing, but unfortunately, like you talked about, Father Time is undefeated. Both of us are knocked out from it, and Julio Jones about to get knocked out from it soon. But for the most part, when it comes to Julio, what do you want to hear? Do you want to make the most money, or do you want to try to win a Super Bowl? If you're not worried about winning a Super Bowl, that's perfectly fine. He's a guy that's content with going fishing and losing his dang earring and whatnot in the water, and hanging out by himself with his fish. So I don't know if he cares about a Super Bowl the same way Tom Brady might. So if I'm Julio, look, you might want to go get that bag somewhere, maybe like in Jacksonville. Jacksonville out here throwing nothing but money around, right? Maybe go help out a young wide receiver core that they have over there.
Please,
maybe Carolina, be back in
Miami.
the AFC South.
Maybe.
Miami.
See,
that's
but
low-key perfect.
The problem I have with some of these locations, though, I don't want anywhere where he's got to be in the top 2 wide receivers.
I got you. No, you're correct. No, you're 100% correct.
Like, I'd rather him be a third wide receiver.
The third, yes. Really or a rotational wide receiver that comes in on 2nd and 8, that type of stuff.
Okay, can I just throw it out there? If he's willing to put his ego aside, Dallas. I think Dallas would be an interesting situation. We know Jerry likes to go get some of these older wide receivers just to have the name and everything. If you can go slot in as a third wide receiver in Dallas where they got Gallup and they've got CeeDee Lamb already, and you're not going to go over there demanding the ball, it's an interesting – I mean, that would be interesting.
The jury's still out on CeeDee Lamb being a number 1 wide receiver. We'll see this year.
But that's why I say Dallas would be interesting for Julio to be there because he's not necessarily going to be, they're not going to be looking for him to be the number 1 guy, but he can help support a guy like CeeDee Lamb who's transitioning into that number 1 guy. We were talking about not playing in cold weather, but another spot that may be interesting is maybe a Baltimore where you could slot in there. They need some help at wide receiver. They've been needing it.
You literally just said you don't want him to be the top 2 wide receiver on the team. He's going to be number 1. He's going to be number 1. He's going to be number 1.
He don't be number 1.
Right. You know, right? That's why I'm saying this.
Well, he's gonna be number 1 there.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and rethink this whole topic for Julio, trying to figure out where he's gonna go, and let's save it for next week because you make your own brain hurt on this one because you can't go to Ravens. I'm sorry, you can't do it.
It's just a bad situation for Julio altogether because it's gonna take a unique situation for him to go and be successful. I think he can go anywhere really. But
Fraction one to X. What about going to the Colts? Teaming up back with Matt Ryan again? I mean, it makes sense. I just don't see it because of weather-wise. Even though they're inside, they of course are going to be playing some outdoor games. But I mean, it's. I understand. If it happens, it wouldn't shock me. It would shock me.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out what their money situation look like.
Well, while you look that up, I'm gonna go ahead and segue on to our next topic and talking about receivers. Before I get into this last receiver, just some breaking news that came up before we came on the show tonight. There were reports that apparently OBJ is open to a return back to Cleveland after Deshaun Watson got traded to Cleveland. So, we talked about this on a pregame show. Is this is this a bigger look, of course, on Baker Mayfield more than it is on the Browns management? Because we've talked about and we've done the Browns management dirty for decades now about how trash they are. And this might be the one time where they actually might be the scapegoat and might be able to get off scot-free because the biggest problem maybe might have been Baker Mayfield. So
can I just say that this may also be a reason why Baker hasn't been picked up or, and nobody's traded for him. It's mighty, suspicious that the situation occurred with Cleveland and Baker Mayfield. None of his teammates came out and said anything. Nobody's been backing him out there. I haven't heard anybody come out and say anything about Baker Mayfield.
I didn't even think about that. It's very interesting, sir. It's very interesting because a lot of people love to praise him about his hilarious progressive commercials, but
nobody's backing him. I haven't
heard anybody from his college days to now say anything about, man, this guy's a great leader. He's a this. There's people. There's Mariota can't even stay healthy, and there's people that still out here back him.
None of his teammates have come out to back him. Nobody said anything in his favor as far as teammates or anything in that locker room. The organization hasn't even really come out and said anything big. Even when he dropped a whole little sad note to Cleveland or whatever, the organization didn't even really come out and say anything favorable about him being, a great guy, great locker room guy, anything like that. So I got to say, OBJ is looking good in this situation. Browns management and everything's looking good in this situation. It clearly was a problem with Baker and not the organization. So, yeah, I can see OBJ going back. They got Donovan Peoples-Jones. They got Amari Cooper now. OBJ slotting in there. That'd be a nice little receiving core.
We, of course, just have to wait and see how his knee heals back up from his ACL. Yeah. That's the biggest question mark on that one. All right, let's go ahead and get into your team. And, of course, your boy Lee's team, the Kansas City Chiefs, they pick up a very great player in my aspect to slide into that wide receiver core. I don't think he's a great wide receiver that's a number one in most teams, but I think he's a great addition for that wide receiver core, Mr. Juju Smith-Schuster. Ish, take it away, please.
Yeah, he fits perfectly. He fits perfectly into what the Chiefs do. It should have happened last year, but then I don't know. He got cold feet or something. He wanted to go back to Pittsburgh. Fear of the unknown, I guess it was. But now that he knows, he went back there and it was ass. Now he wants to come back to Kansas City, and yeah, he fits perfectly. He does everything that Tyreek doesn't do. He is going to, for me, do kind of what we were hoping Josh Gordon was going to do, although I like the idea of Josh Gordon, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and a Juju Smith-Schuster on the field all at the same time. Because you got the intermediate guy, you got the guy that can run the routes, do all the things you need. With Juju, you got Travis Kelce, who also can work the middle. And then you got the two guys that can take the top off. Let's not forget that Josh Gordon has and will forever be the guy that, he had all those issues with the weed and all that. People were terrified of this guy. He can stretch the field as well. So if you can bring a guy that can work the middle of the field and give him the opportunity, he can fit into this offense, learn a little bit more. This is going to be a really, really good situation. It was much needed with this arms race that's going on in the AFC West. So I'm excited to see what happens with this offense and where they go and what the progression looks like. But man, this AFC West and the AFC in general,
hot fire.
Goodness, I just want to see all those games. I'm gonna take back what I said last week and saying I only want to see the AFC West in prime time. So I just want to see AFC games in prime time. I don't want to see any NFC games in prime time.
Titans Colts, right? You want to see the Colts?
Yeah, actually, I don't mind. I'll see that. Yeah, I'll watch that. I'll watch Titans Colts. I think that would be a really good game. I don't want to watch the Texans or the Jaguars though. Like,
yeah, we not talking about stepchildren.
Matter of fact, I would like for them to be traded to the NFC for two of the better teams from the NFC. Like, let's trade them to the NFC.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to trade them to the XFL or something. I think going to say that.
Well, yeah, we could do that too. Because maybe we should implement something like promotion and relegation and relegate those two to whatever minor league we want to relegate them to. Maybe not even the XFL. They need to go to the spring league. That's where they need to go. They can be spring league teams.
Let me get to this comment from Lee. He says, I love Juju since USC. I'm fine with the offense. The offense is set to fight for Super Bowl. Defense isn't all that long ways to go. He also says all signs point to McColl's playing a smaller Debo role, screen sweeps, backfields, just as a weapon. Then that makes me excited. I hope it's the same for AJ Brown on our end of Tennessee Titans. I hope more of his role is expanded. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight with this Zadarius Smith situation we have going on here. I know it's very random for us ending it off with a linebacker, but this is a very unique situation because this isn't the first guy this year that has done the old switcheroo. This is the third guy this offseason that has told it, I'm going to sign with you, and then pull the carpet from people's rugs, pull the carpet from people's feet, my bad, and say, psych, gotcha, bitch. I'm going to go ahead and go with another team. And Zadarius Smith was going to return home at first and go back to the Ravens, the team that he first started his career with. But he decides to stay inside of not just the division, not just the conference, but stay inside of the division as well and go to the hated rival, the Minnesota Vikings. What do you make of this? Not just this move, but also the string of players swapping and saying that, hey, I'm going to go to this team, and then all of a sudden go to another team.
People have been just getting their money right or staying in situations that work for them. So I know in like the J.D. McKissick situation, he wasn't being offered the kind of money that he thought he should get. He got offered the money with the Bills, and then Washington came out and they were like, "Oh, hold on, we'll give you that money." And he was like, "Oh, well then, yeah, I'll stay with y'all then." So some of them have been situations where they're just staying in the right situations. Some of them, they want to get their money. Somebody offered more money. Somebody wanted to give them, more guaranteed. the thing that the name of the game now is how much
That
guaranteed money can you
guaranteed
get.
money.
That's the
Yes,
difference
sir.
now.
That's
In the
the biggest thing
past,
that we've seen this season than
oh
any
yeah,
other seasons prior is the amount of guaranteed money that's being thrown out here. It is honestly, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It is a very beautiful thing to watch. See these athletes get the money they deserve, even if you do get hurt on the first play of the game, first game of the season. At the end of the day, for you to get taken care of and your family taken care of for the sacrifices that you make, and I'm not trying to speak of them like they are some military members. I'm just saying because of the sport that they do. Shout out to them for being able to be able to capitalize on their skill set.
yeah. I mean, a shout out to them. Get all that you can get, and yeah, it's good to see him. Go to a place where he's happy. He's gonna go to Minnesota, stay in the division. Get to play against Green Bay twice a year, so I'll be interested to see it. But I
Oh
think
yeah.
this is a trend that's going to continue moving forward. I think it wasn't a thing of the past, but it is a thing of the new NFL.
Okay.
You will see a lot of these deals. Players going to switch sides if they can get more guaranteed money somewhere else, and some of that's going to have to do with cap space. Some of these teams they can't afford it, and the teams that can, they may, initially miss out on a deal, but if they can come back and find a way to rework it and give you more guaranteed and help themselves out in the long run, I think you're going to start to see more of these deals pop up and more of these situations happen where they make an agreement and then player goes somewhere else because they were able to get a better deal somewhere. So I'm happy to see it. I think the game only benefits from it being a player market where the players get to kind of get the best situation for them, and get paid what they're due. Because of all the sports, if there's any sport that money and contracts should be guaranteed, it's definitely football, where
Yep.
your time in the game is short lived.
Very
So
short. Very short.
I'm
3.5
actually,
years.
yeah, I'm really happy to see all these players go out and get this money and get guaranteed as much as they can, as early as they can get it, so that they can take care of their families and everything that they have to do, their mentals, and be ready for retirement and life after football.
At the end of the day, no matter what job or profession you're in, it's about getting money. That's what you do. That's what you got to do to take care of your family. Got to get money. So, with that being said, shout out to Mr. Smith taking care of his business, take care of his family for the rest of his life and their life. Generational wealth is what it's about, baby. And with that being said, that'll do it for another episode. Of course, X Talking Ish, the off-season edition. It's
Man,
3 weeks of craziness, man. I mean,
and it's only going to continue.
I
I
know. I
mean,
mean, we're not even at the draft yet. I mean,
we in the heat of pro day seasons. I
yeah.
mean, we didn't talk about it today, but man,
I
I
wanted
watched
to
some of
wait.
that.
I wanted to wait till next week to get to
I
that.
watched
But
some of that
yes,
Malik Willis pro day, and whoo, that man was slinging that thing. So I'm
yeah.
definitely excited about.
Zach Wilson last year was slaying that thing too, and
Hey, Zach
he
Wilson
was
showed some brilliance
at
too.
the end of the
He
year.
played for the
He did.
Jets.
I mean, I know. I'm just saying. Let's wait and see what guys look like when they got their pads on and they
That's
got
very
guys
true.
running at
I
them.
mean,
Again, I'm not no disrespect to Mr. Willis. I think he's going to be a good player, but he did play at Liberty. So let's just pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes. That's all. I want to see how he looks playing against grown
he
men.
was good enough
That's
to be
all.
recruited at Auburn. So
You're correct, but guess where he's getting recruited at? I'm sorry. Guess where he's
hey,
at?
I don't
So
care.
with that being said, we will talk about more next week on X Talking Yes. We will see you.